Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew, and today I want to welcome amateur astronomer and researcher. You can find her work on Laura Wells' Research, News, and Astronomy on YouTube. Laura Wells, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm excellent. You have an excellent channel. You do an excellent job researching the planetary changes we're seeing and many of the stuff we don't hear on the news. So let's get a bit about your background and what got you started doing this.
Okay. Well, I've always had an interest in this type of thing. Like my mom used to read she used to read me things like Chariots of the Gods by Eric Van Daniken, and it piqued my interest at an early age. So following the ancient alien theory, that's what got me started on all of this. So I guess really the ancient alien theory was the beginning, and I would go down the rabbit hole only to discover new branches of conspiracies and theories, and then I would research like crazy into every single topic.
Yeah,
So that's kind of what got me started. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about there because I did the same
hmm
thing. Once I got started researching, I couldn't stop.
Right.
So what made you decide to actually get your channel started going?
I had a lot of people asking me, hey, do a YouTube channel, and I have extreme anxiety, as I said, so I didn't want to do it, but I did a couple of videos, and people were saying, this is easier for us to understand than a bunch of typing. So I started doing like graphics and, doing things and putting it together and making it easier for people to understand. So that's kind of why I got started, just to help people understand what's going on a little bit better than just typing a paragraph or something.
Yeah, you do excellent work on there. Very good. I've learned a lot of things from there,
Thank you.
a lot of stuff that I didn't know was going on. One of the things that I want to talk about is the planetary changes that we're seeing right now. It seems that they're changing more rapidly now than I've ever seen in my life before. And there's some, major contributing factors, I believe, that could be coming from space. And you've done a lot of research into this. So give us some of your thoughts on what could be causing the Earth changes we're seeing right now.
Okay, and I wanted to tell viewers I had wrote some notes down, so I'm going to be reading from my notes a little bit too. But the intense increase in space weather is being caused by the brown dwarf system. This dwarf, along with its planets, has a very big effect on Earth and our whole solar system. You can see the climate change happening all throughout our solar system. Radiation is increasing drastically and fast, and we are having more intense Earth changes faster than ever before. And all kinds of rare events and rare storms are happening more and more frequently. Now, I had made some notes on kind of the radiation increasing.
Well, the brown dwarf that you're speaking of, it's what most people would call Nibiru or Planet X, right?
Yes. And it has its own planet, so there's a little bit of, there's the system, the brown dwarf, and then it has its planets. And all the ancients, they all called it different things, but once it comes back around, every different, all the different civilizations kind of called it whatever they called it, and it's the same thing that's coming back around. So
there's
that's
also
exactly what it is.
A lot of confusion as to the orbit or the orbital cycle of this. Some people say it's 3,600 years. Some people say it's 20,000 years. There's so much confusion into this. Have you done any research into its orbit?
A little bit. I would go with the 36. I think it was. Well, actually, that is kind of hard to pinpoint because if you look at all the cycles, that theory fits in with, all the different cycles. They say it could be this many years, this many years. We've had catastrophic cycles fit within that. So it could be either, or maybe, there's two separate systems that come around. That could be.
That's an interesting thought. I've never heard the theory of two separate systems coming around. And
there's trinary.
Oh, what was that?
Trinary. There's trinary systems. So there is evidence that shows instead of a binary system, there are trinary systems out there. There's trinary, and so a third one could come around. That could be why there's difference in time.
That's very interesting. And I had Gil Broussard on, and he has the most interesting theory of the orbit. It's 350 to 400 years, and that would put, cataclysms occurring very close together. But he believes
Right.
this go round would probably be the worst one in history. He believes that it would be passing closer than any other time in history, which is kind of disturbing in its own.
Yeah, I think that too. I think this has led up to Revelation and, everything in the Bible, whether you're a Christian or you believe or not. It's a historic book, and it fits everything that's taking place and everything that's unfolding. So whether you are a Christian or non-Christian, if you look at it even as just a historical book, you see all this taking place and unfolding, and it's matching exactly what prophecy says.
Yeah, you can't deny that the changes we're seeing now, we've never seen before at this scale, and they tend to be increasing, but it's also coming in cycles. Like I was talking with
Mm-hmm.
Mark from Blue Kool-Aid the other day, it seems like everything may calm down for a while. We won't have some major earthquakes,
Uh-huh.
volcanoes, and weather, and then during a period of our seasons, like April, May, during the summer, things tend to pick up. Do you find that to be the case?
Oh, yes, that's very true. And so you've probably had Mark Elkin on before, I think.
Yes.
Okay. He's part of the team, and uh, he shows us kind of where the system is and the front side alignment and the back side alignment and when that happens. Well, when we have these certain alignments with the system, it's magnetically connected, and that's why certain times of the year is extremely, catastrophic with weather events and earthquakes and volcanoes, because that alignment's happening with that brown dwarf system, and it could be far, far away, but it's still causing us to react to it and causing the sun to react to it. So that is true. That's very true.
And speaking of the reactions, one of the things that's actually been mentioned in the mainstream news is the movement of our magnetic north. I've had a couple people on to talk about that, especially Ben from Suspicious Observers. He believes we may be in the final stages of this movement and could be in some real danger in the near future. What are your thoughts on this erratic movement?
Oh yeah, that's very true. Also, the pole shift is happening and it's speeding up and increasing fast. And then you add in Earth's weakening shield. That's not good at all. We need to watch for more changes in the magnetic North Pole and the major pickup in the activity of pole migration. That's a big one. And we are awaiting a rapid shift in the North Pole. And we will see it enter into those weak field lines. And okay, in the weak field lines, when we get to a certain point, like the 40-degree mark, that's when we are at our weakest point for pole shift, and that means pole shift is imminent. Um, so that's happening rapidly. We're heading that way, and we're talking over the next 4 to 5 years, if not sooner, of us hitting that weakest point.
Now, four to
So,
5 years, that's
mhm,
very soon. I mean, and most people
right,
have no idea that this is occurring. And if they hear about
right.
it from the media, it's just like, oh, there's nothing to worry about. It shouldn't be anything bad or anything like that.
Mhm.
When in reality, we could have some major disasters ahead of us.
Oh yeah, and the mainstream's finally picking up on it. We were warning, trying to get the information out there, saying, okay, if you look at the migration of the pole, it's going just hectic and it's going faster and faster and faster. There's something going on here. And scientists were quiet, mainstream was quiet. And then all of a sudden they just started talking about it constantly, and saying, okay, we have to do something. There's something wrong here. And they even admitted that they had to update their stuff and that something was wrong and that we're seeing this happen way faster than expected.
Yes,
So,
they have to redo the
yeah.
runways because of
Hmm.
the movement and a few other things.
Right. Now,
People
runways
go
are
ahead.
kind of they kind of do that a little bit at a time. I guess that's kind of a normal thing to do with runways because there's always a little bit of pole migration. But this, they said, was just so hectic. The GPS systems, everything. It affected a lot of things, and they had to reboot and redo things.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the other dangers we're seeing that comes with this is the cosmic radiation. Um, people are taking radiation measurements, and it's getting closer to the ground than we've ever seen before. I know you've done some research into this. Talk a little bit about that, what's happening with that.
Okay. Yeah, the cosmic radiation is increasing, and it's actually increased 18, or I think it's 18% since March 2015 alone. That's actually March 2015 to July 2018. So the new study will probably be much higher. It went from a 10% increase to a 13% increase to an 18% increase between studies in that short time span. So we're at or over an 18% increase since March 2015. And cosmic radiation can cause all kinds of things from heart spasms and heart attacks to sudden cardiac death, along with other physical and mental effects. With the weakening shield, UVC is also reaching ground level in large amounts. So add that to the increase in cosmic radiation also. And there's government studies that they've done that you can find, and they show the link between high sudden cardiac death days and cosmic radiation and geomagnetic storms. I could talk a little bit about that study if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay. One of those government studies is called Cardiac Arrhythmia and Geomagnetic Activity, so everyone can go find that. The results state that there is a link between the frequency of SCD, which is sudden cardiac death, cardiac arrhythmic events, and geomagnetic activity, hence cosmic radiation. At the bottom of this government study, it says, conclusion. According to various studies, we can presume that geomagnetic activity, cosmic radiation, has an effect on cardiac arrhythmias and sudden cardiac death. I do know that a lot of people, including myself, have been feeling the tingling in the arms and hands and the chest and heart spasms. So I've been feeling that. I know a lot of people have, but it's where your heart will kind of tighten up and spasm and shake a little bit. And on a blood pressure machine, if you put one on while you're feeling that, it'll register, irregular heartbeat. So I know a lot of people are dealing with that right now.
Yes, and another danger, with our weakened magnetic field would be from a major CME or solar flare. It could, basically knock us back to the Stone Age. And I hear our magnetic field keeps getting weaker and weaker.
Weakening, mm-hmm. Very much. We are weakening at a fast rate. I've heard some scientists try to say that, oh no, don't worry, we're not weakening. It's actually getting stronger, and they'll point to a certain spot and they'll say this part right here is getting stronger, but they're not seeing the whole rest of it that's getting weaker and weaker and weaker, where all this cosmic radiation is just pouring in. And like we had said, UVC is reaching ground level in massive amounts. It's not supposed to reach ground level. So the weakening of the shield, along with the high cosmic radiation, and this radiation is coming from this brown dwarf system. And also, as it hits the sun, it's causing the sun to send us cosmic radiation or solar radiation. So we're having, all kinds of radiation hitting us. Bam, 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 bam. So it's hard to deal with that. It's overwhelming.
Have you done any research as to how close this system may come to us?
I have looked into that, but like I said, I want to be scientifically sure, and I don't know for a fact on the science side of how close this will get. But if I kind of step away from science and go to the Bible and do biblical, they talk about this system in Revelation and all throughout the Bible, and then passing in front of the sun and causing the sun to go dark and the blood moon and, So I do think that some of the planets from the system eventually will pass, but really, really, really close to Earth. But if I step back to science, I don't know how close that is, So I would say, it doesn't have to be too close to even affect us. We could feel the impact and the effects from it being far off. The closer as it's getting pretty close, and as it's getting close, it could send off all kinds of solar flares and kill us before it ever reached here. So.
Right. And I wonder if we would even be able to see it in time to be able to prepare or do anything, or if they're even going to let the masses see it. I hear a lot of different theories that there may be some shielding up there, some type of simulators. Have you done any research into if that's a real thing or not?
I have looked a little bit into Sun Simulator, and I don't know. I believe that there's one up there. I've seen evidence, but I have a telescope, and I look at the sun all the time. I monitor the sun, but like I said, on our team, Mark Elkin's on our team, and I kind of asked him that because he researches really heavily into the Sun Simulator and things like that. So when I asked him about that, he had some good theories that they can mask and do things, just like Project Bluebeam, they can make things look how they want to make it look. So if they are trying to hide anything, a Sun Simulator, or the other theory could be trying to block out the extreme heat. Just if the sun's gotten brighter and hotter,
yes,
it could be trying to block out the extreme heat. Yeah, white. And that's also from the system. That as the system gets closer, it draws that energy. That brown dwarf draws that energy from the sun, and so the sun becomes brighter and brighter, 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 and hotter, hotter, hotter. So over the last few years, everyone's probably noticed, an intense increase in like the sting or the burn of the sun, and getting sunburns way faster. That's from the system.
Right. Yeah. And another thing that you have been researching that you talk a lot about on your channel are the 5 waves of energy. And for people who aren't familiar with that, could you kind of explain what that is as it relates to what's going on?
Yes, I actually have really good notes on that from Mike from around the world. He's the one that very, very first started the 5 waves of energy. So I will be reading off some notes. Sorry if I mess up, but okay. So this is for everyone to know about the 5 waves of energy. Mike from around the world told us around 2014 all about the 5 waves of energy and how they would impact us, and even when the first wave of energy would hit. He said in 2014 that next year, on August 17th, 2015, the first wave of this 5 waves of energy will hit. When that day came, sure enough, there was a huge spike in the sun's behavior and chemical plant explosions all over, which that's something to always watch for. He was correct on the exact day, so anytime he talked from then on, I listened carefully and studied every aspect of what he was saying and the science behind it. He came back on and told us when wave 2 would hit. He said it would be stronger than each wave, or with each wave it would be stronger. Mike said on December 26, 2016, the second wave will hit, and then this one will last all of 2017. So when that day came, sure enough, a strong wave of energy hit and was picked up on all data and models. And it was pretty hectic. Everyone on YouTube was doing a story on it saying that, what in the world just hit us? We've had pressure building up from each wave that's hit, more chaotic weather events as we go and such. So then he told us when wave 3 would hit, which is the current wave we are in right now. So we're in wave 3. This wave will get stronger around June and July, and we will probably be watching for a large increase from June through December. So this third wave hit us on December 22nd, 2018, exactly as warned, and will last all of 2019. These waves of energy is extreme cosmic radiation coming from the brown dwarf system. It is also sending in a foreign type of cosmic radiation. This has a lot of effects on people, and this is causing our sun to react and become brighter and hotter. But we are also getting that second type of cosmic radiation from the brown dwarf system. The particle count is extremely high, and a higher percent of particles are coming in, and the Earth is being bombarded and is building pressure like a pressure cooker. This all has a health effect, biological effect, geological effect, and a type of burning effect on the skin. It is also affecting the sun. I also have something on CERN. CERN, with this system and with the cosmic radiation and the 5 waves of energy, CERN is also heavily investigating galactic cosmic rays coming into the Earth. CERN is in an overdrive trying to figure something out. Look into CERN Project Cloud for more information on that. The galactic cosmic rays are 100% affecting our weather, and the particle counts are dramatically increasing. This particle count is increasing and will reach a danger level if it continues on this trend. So if a 0.2% change in the temperature of the Earth's stratosphere is enough to send this world into chaos with winds of about 200 to 300 miles per hour, then that small change in radioactive particles coming in from space is a big deal. The particles, protons, are overwhelming our magnetic field. So the auroras need to be watched. And when we see red and blue, or it changed to a reddish, bluish type color, and then to a bluish type color, we've got an ignition of the wrong type of gases going off in the atmosphere. And when that takes place, the moisture could do something like a type of flash fire, a sort of ignitable atmosphere. So we need to watch for wind speeds because they will increase, and they will increase because of too much of a difference between hot and cold. Atmospheric compression, and there will be big lightning shows, big lights, lots of colorful clouds. That's a sign of this cosmic radiation. And with this radiation, we are also looking at the biological aspect of it. We will start finding it difficult to overcome many things. People's minds are very affected, which is one of the bigger things. A lot of people will start losing memory, and they won't know why. As time goes on, it's going to almost be like some people are trapped in some sort of dream state, and that's due to magnetics. Now, I guess I could talk a little bit on the neurological system with the 5 waves of energy, if that's fine. Okay. The neurological system is heavily tied to this and will start telling on us in several different areas. So the magnetic field around everything is about to be supercharged and overly charged. Things like positively charged things versus negatively charged things are going to start to fight because you're going to have an ionization process, which is actually going to begin to release lots of positive ions. So you're okay with negative ions, but an overwhelming majority of positive ions, if you are exposed to that, you're going to have major headaches, migraines like you'd never believe. Your neurological system will start failing on you in several different areas and make you nauseated and sick. That means massive sickness and psychosis for quite a few people. Irritation, driving people to a point of rage, feeling madness and crazy, also severe hot flashes and more. And with the galactic cosmic radiation increase, biologically, we have not been introduced to radiation at this high of a level and this consistent. That's going to change parts of biology, such as the human brain, and breaking and damaging of the DNA. So that means deformed DNA inside the cells from the radiation and mutations in the DNA, which replicates and gets passed down to children. The magnetic level of the Earth itself is changing. That's bad for human brains and bad. Okay, so let me go down here real fast because this is the big one. If you're starting to if people are starting to feel irritated, mad, anger, that's coming from this. Feeling crazy, odd, weird, in a dream state, rage, you'll definitely notice more anger and rage. The magnetic level of all of this is changing and will be a severe problem. So that's kind of what I have on the 5 waves of energy.
Wow, that's a lot to look forward to there.
Oh yeah.
Now, go ahead.
Real fast. I have one more thing to add to that because I didn't see this, but there's a massive buildup inside the Earth. So a lot of magma activity overwhelming everything. And we are seeing massive instability that will continue on trend with it building up and will continue to build up. We will see a lot of infrastructure failure from cosmic rays. So remember that one. When you look at the properties of radiation in the presence of electromagnetic energy, number one, we don't even need an EMP. We have cosmic radiation. All of these electrical combinations and the transformers and the way they are configured are at risk. So you're looking at a magnetic change in just about everything. The properties of a magnetic field are very straightforward and specific. However, with an increase in cosmic radiation, all the formulas are thrown off. That means infrastructure failures. So all the people will begin to notice transformers blowing. So that's a big one, the transformers. If you've seen transformers blowing, even on, no storms, and they're blowing in different parts, that's from high energy, the cosmic radiation.
Right. And there was something else you mentioned that I noticed because I covered this in my news reports a lot. The heating from within, not only volcanoes and earthquakes, but there's been stories of just, heat coming from the ground, unknown, like it would appear like magma is actually coming from the ground.
Yes.
So that part makes so much sense to me, that we're heating from within from these cosmic waves. And I think we've already began to see some of the infrastructure being destroyed.
Right. And we're in that third wave right now. We still have 2 more. I don't know quite when they'll be here. When I get a date, I'll let you know. But each wave is so much stronger than the last. So this third wave, it lasts this whole year, and it's pretty much, heating us, like you said, from the inside out and like a pressure cooker. It's building, and there's not enough. It's not letting off enough pressure, and before you know it, magma's got to find its own vent holes. It's got to find ways to come out because it's overwhelming. Now, I guess another thing that with this 5 waves of energy, because I have a lot of notes. 5 waves of energy causes a lot of things, but with this wave, the electrical storms will have a big impact. So let's put it this way: an increase of electrical potential will increase by at least 300%. So your average thunderstorm will be 300% stronger. And that's more than, that's way more than we're used to. The lightning, even in the size. So let me come down to this. Okay, so your high winds, we'll start to notice the 120 to 200 mile per hour winds, and even 200 plus mile per hour winds. Now, whenever I talked about this, like I guess a month or two later, we started having every day, 200 mile per hour winds places, and they were talking about freak events with the wind.
Yeah.
So wind, but you mentioned the volcano and the magma. So here's a note I had posted. It says, watch Italy, and Italy started having that, in New York City. So we have been watching the magma in New York, and people don't hear about New York. That's a big one. But sitting right under New York City is a fault line that goes through New York and travels all the way to South Carolina.
Yeah, didn't they recently have a like a 3-point something quake near there?
Yeah, they had some earthquakes, and that was after we were talking about it. People were like, no, that ain't gonna happen there. That's no. They don't get that there's a fault line right under there that runs all the way to South Carolina, and that it's heating and swelling, and it's shifting. So highways are getting cracks. It's just all that buildup under there is causing places that are solid to crack, and core expansion too. So it's cracking, and you'll notice the sinkholes, the cracks, and the magma just leaking out places. And I've seen, like you said, I've seen some videos people did for the news they're like, where's this heat coming up from? Where is this magma coming from? There's not a volcano around. It's finding its own vent holes.
Right.
So
another thing, the Middle East has been hammered with extreme weather, like unbelievable weather that I've never heard of before. Hail, snow, extreme winds, and these cyclones are getting bigger and bigger and more powerful. Have you noticed that? Definitely,
with the wobble and tilt of the earth, it's just kind of woo. We had there for a while. They did that storm that they called the day after tomorrow, because it was so hectic. It looked like the Day After Tomorrow movie. And at the same time, in the Middle East, in the deserts, they were all getting all kinds of freak hailstorms and ice storms and snow, and the camels, and floods, and like you said, and then also Naples, I think that's where it was, they recorded their first ever tornado. They didn't even know what a tornado was. They talked about it being, some weird wind in the sky, but they went and looked at the damage and confirmed that it was a tornado. So all these rare events, I guess, for the area that's rare, are starting to happen. So I live in Oklahoma, and I guess up until right now, over the last few years, we haven't been getting as many tornadoes as we usually get. It's like it's shifted. So as the jet stream shifted, it shifted, and so weather is just off. It's happening in weird spots.
Right, and another area of big concern that I see is near the Philippines and even Japan, where they're having all this seismic and volcanic activity. They've had some really big ones lately, and I think that area is a huge area of concern.
Oh yeah, Japan, yes. And I've noticed a lot of swarms lately happening there, and that's usually a precursor for something bigger. So we do need to keep an eye on that. And have you heard of I think it's the oarfish? Have you heard of that before? Where where if it washes up, and I heard that they've been getting them like crazy lately. So, and they use that as a sign as a precursor to an earthquake. So that's definitely somewhere to watch also.
Now, something else you have been researching is it's very fascinating. It's Project Stargate. I've done a little research into it as well.
Uh-huh.
But talk about what you've been looking into and how it ties into what's going on right now.
Okay, so Project Stargate. Um, that's Major Ed Dames, and he was a part of the CIA Project Stargate.
Right.
The Stargate Project was a 1991 code name for a secret U.S. Army unit established in 1978. They investigated the potential for psychic phenomena in military and domestic intelligence. Remote viewing came about. So Stargate Project work primarily involved remote viewing. That was the ability to physically see events, sites, or information from a great distance. Project Stargate was terminated and disclassified in 1995. So Major Ed Dames was one of the CIA agents taking part in remote viewing, and he went public claiming that they seen a future event that would take place called the Killshot from the sun. So normally, one might not take such a warning seriously, but what sets these predictions apart from others is that remote viewers have a track record of being amazingly accurate regarding global recognized disasters. So they announced those on national radio and TV before they ever occurred, and some of those included the disaster in Japan, a killer crop fungus in Africa, the Indonesian 9.0 earthquake, Fukushima, and the 2008 economic crash, and many more. The major event that will kill billions that they remote viewed is what they call the kill shot. When remote viewing, they began to pick up on a very large event that Major Dames thought was a nuclear event. He talks about the event, a series of solar flares that are so powerful that they will penetrate into Earth's atmosphere, destroying global communications and heating up regions of the world to such an extreme that it will cause the deaths of billions. So soon after the discovery of the Killshot event, information leaks began. Playing the program, the operation became public in the 1990s, and the CIA and the U.S. military had no choice but to confirm and disclassify its existence. Major Ed Dames followed suit, retiring from military intelligence to pursue civilian remote viewing training, and he spoke out before these events ever took place. So this is big right here. The final recognizable event just prior to the kill sequence, the best that they could come up with would appear to be a space shuttle being forced down by what appears to be a meteor shower or something like that. So we're kind of watching for the kill shot and that. Now, that ties heavily into what's going on because as the system nears, like we talked about, it impacts the sun, so the sun can throw off its solar flares, so that kind of goes hand in hand. But also, we're going to go through its debris field, the system's debris field. So that kind of makes sense that they've foreseen the shuttle being pushed down by debris or by, asteroids or fireballs or whatever they've seen, because it could be the debris field from the system. And the solar flares, the sequence of solar flares or the kill shot would be what the system's causing it to throw off at us. So that remote viewing, what they remote viewed, seems very accurate. And they've got a very, very large track record of being right anyways.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned the fireballs because I have definitely noticed a major increase in fireballs. It's at least the ones that are being reported and recorded. Just in the past maybe 2 or 3 weeks, there have been over a dozen reports of fireballs that I've shown.
Yeah. The fireballs every year has been way, way worse than the last. And like we said, as that system nears, and it's like our asteroid belt. You know how our asteroid belt's on the outside? So if we were to go into something, they would reach our asteroid belt first before they ever reached our planets and system, right? So as this thing comes towards us, we're going to reach its asteroid belt or debris field before it ever reaches us. So we'll notice the increase in near-Earth objects and, fireballs and things like that. So now also with the kill shot and the remote viewing, we're supposed to be going into solar minimum, which I don't know if I know we go through cycles, but I don't think that we will go through a severe solar minimum, only because if the system's getting closer, it's causing the sun to react. So the sun's actually reacting. So they're scratching their heads right now trying to figure out why we have so many sunspots popping up like we have right now. They're trying to figure that out, and this is why.
Right, and the sun is definitely behaving strangely. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, the kill shot, people don't realize how good they have it now and what it would be like if we were to be basically sent back. I mean, we would be sent back to the Stone Age with the right type of solar flare or CME. It would take out all our electronics, everything we have technologically, and we wouldn't have anything. And people aren't prepared for that event.
Right, not at all. They don't get how severe it is. And like I had said, you don't even need, everybody's like, oh, what if we get hit by an EMP? They're more focused on that, but you don't even need the EMP. We have the sun and the cosmic radiation, and it's, breaking and damaging our infrastructure and the chemical plants. So anything could happen. We have to look forward to both, but people don't get how severe people would die right off the bat. I mean, you got to think about not only that, but okay, satellites. If everything went down and the cosmic radiation pushed everything down, and then not only that, but the debris field pushed everything down, you'd have all the satellites coming crashing down to Earth. You'd have planes falling out of the sky. That's something to watch for with the 5 waves of energy also. But think about this. If the grids were down and everything was fried, how would you put fires out? How would the fire department put fires out? There would be bodies in the streets. People would get sick, the plague, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
It's more severe than people realize. There's the little things like, okay, the fire department can go put out this fire. Well, if everything's fried and no electronics work and no, nothing like that works, how are they going to do the simple things? So I mean,
definitely. And one of the other big concerns here, have you read the declassified Adam and Eve story?
yes, I've read into that a little bit.
Now, that's one thing. If people
Mhm.
have not looked into that, they need to. That's the one thing I think could wake people up and say, hey, maybe I need to prepare for something, because this document
Yeah, and that's
is terrifying.
a document. You're right. Right out there for people to look at if they'd research. Right out there. They could
Yeah.
look at it.
And Ben did a nice. It was a whole series. I think it's the Catastrophe series on his channel.
Catastrophic cycle.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Yeah.
And he did an excellent breakdown of that. And if
Yeah.
even a portion of what that document says happens, I mean, we're in enormous trouble.
Oh, yeah. And I do think you always have to take some things the CIA says with a grain of salt, but if you know how to pick through it and you know the science behind it, there's a lot in there that makes sense and that is true. But you need to, know what you're looking for, but I think everybody should read it. It's like we said, the CIA put it out there, and it's an actual official document that you can get your hands on and read. Just like that Project Stargate we were talking about. It talks about how us as humans can perceive, things out there that you don't use your 5 senses and you can remote view. And that's from the CIA. So they're putting these things out there. We have access to it. We should go research it, and gain as much knowledge and information on every subject as possible before the grids go down,
Definitely. Now, and not only does it appear that, the elites, the ones in control, everything, they know what's happening, they know what's going on, but it seems like they're running off of a script. Like they're actually running off of the Book of Revelation or some type of deranged script. Based on your research, is that something that you've noticed? And could there be a way to predict any future events or false flag events?
So I think that the New World Order is in full swing. I think that they are going by a script. I really do think that we are right on track for everything to happen, and it does fit into Revelation. The beast system rising, you know, all that. I don't know. I think we do have the power to change it, but everybody would have to, break the matrix pretty much and rise up and, raise your frequency and vibration. That's a big one. If you can be spiritual and still, practice, things where you do, raise your frequency and vibration. But if everybody did that, I think we could break the chains and the outcome could turn. God didn't write everything in stone. So he said we have the power to change. We have the power to change that. It's right there in the Bible. People say, no. This says that this has to happen, which this all needs to happen. But there's things that it does say if you read not just one verse, but you read around it, it says mankind, we have the power to change. We can become, nicer to humankind, but everybody's angry. Everybody's mad. Everybody's, I don't know. It's not going the way it should go if we want to change things.
Definitely. But I 100% believe that we create our own reality. And
yes, I do too.
If everyone realized this, we would have such a better reality because we can control our own on a small scale. But on a larger scale, we could change basically the path of our own existence.
Exactly. Have you heard of the law of attraction?
Yes.
Or the secret law of attraction?
Yes.
Okay, that's exactly what you're saying. That's like you have the power to change the outcome, like you said, around you. So if we all practice that, we could all work together and change the outcome, change the outcome of the elite, everybody that's bad. It would be awesome, but people don't believe in it. Now, when I first started practicing the law of attraction and trying to raise the frequency and vibration and, focus on good things and all that, everything pretty much just was so much easier. It's like it literally happened. It was so crazy. It literally changed every outcome that I usually face. So it's amazing. People should look into that. But I think that if everybody looked into it and did it on a larger scale, we could change the outcome.
Right. You just have to start with yourself.
Yes.
And I like to ask almost all of my guests, what are your thoughts on Trump? Me personally, I don't trust any president. I think they're all puppets. I think they're here to push whatever agenda the elites want to push at the time. For me, I believe that they're trying to just put the most extreme person in there so they can push their agenda all the way to the left next time, and it'll just be terrible because people are so divided right now. I mean, they were divided before, but it's crazy. I don't know exactly what to think of Trump. I'd like to have faith in him. I'd like to think he is what all the people are saying, that he's, QAnon's behind him, and he's the one that's going to try and bring us out of this, but I just don't know. I'm just still waiting to see what's happening. So what are your thoughts on Trump?
So you took the words right out of my mouth. But that's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly how I feel. I think I'm still, no matter what, I'm never Hillary. I just can't. But, and I, like you said, I had hope for Trump, and I still do. I want to believe he's good. But there's things he does that's really good. But there's also things that he does that I don't like, such as the 5G push. We know how bad 5G is. So He's pushing for that. Or, okay, so they did a ban on a certain type of harmful pesticides. And when he got into office, he reversed that ban. So this was, proven to cause cancer, and he still wants it on our food. So there's some things he does that I question. I do think that all presidents are merely puppets, and, the elite pull the strings. So I do think he is a part of the plan. But one big thing, they might all play a part, but they might not even know that they are part of the plan. So he might not even know he is playing into the plan,
Right, I agree. And I believe that, that may be the case for many of the presidents and people in power. They just only know so much because it's so compartmentalized. And I like you said, I do have the highest hopes for Trump, but like you said, some of the things he's done has just pushed me the other way. I'm just
Questionable.
back to thinking, yep, he's just a puppet, but I still have my mind open to it. Now,
Yes, that's how I am.
for the last few minutes, talk about where you
Uh-huh.
see us going in the next 5 years, if you see any major catastrophes, and how we might be able to prepare for any of this.
Okay. I see an intense increase in cosmic radiation and the Earth's wobble, an increase in fireballs and near Earth objects, magnetosphere. Yeah, we need to watch the magnetosphere, magnetopause, all that. I see that. There's going to be, I guess, I don't know if anybody's been watching that, but it's been highly compressed, and we're getting that wind from that system, second wind.
On the
So we need to
backside,
watch
right?
that. Yes, yes. We need to watch for the crazy jet stream problems, chaotic weather events, and major increase in magma and volcano activity. I think we will see some of these events that we are noticing go tenfold over the next 4 to 5 years. We're seeing some crazy things happen, but we're going to see that intensified. Like people aren't ready. People should be ready for this. It will be highly evident that Earth is going through a catastrophic cycle. Now to prepare for this, I think people should mentally, not only physically prepare for it, but mentally be prepared for what's coming. I mean, that's a big one. You could be scared and panic, but what's that going to do for you? Panicking is very useless in that time of, to react. So I think people should start mentally preparing for what's coming and, researching, studying, being ready, along with physically preparing. Prepping is a good thing. We prep. There's a lot of people out there that I've had tell me, why do you prep? Nothing's going to happen. But I would so much rather be ready for something to happen than not be ready for it to happen. If I have extra food, so be it. Extra stuff, so be it. If something doesn't happen, oh well. But what if I don't have the extra stuff if something did happen?
Definitely, I'd,
You know,
I'd much rather have everything and be prepared than caught with my pants down.
exactly. So people need to understand that they can poke fun of me all they want, but when crap hits the fan, who are they going to be trying to come to for help? Because they know, okay, you're a prepper. But really, it's a good thing to mentally and physically be prepared for this.
Definitely. And Laura, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. That was fantastic information. Everybody can find you at Laura Wells Research News and Astronomy on YouTube, right?
Yes,
And you have a Patreon as well?
yes, I do. Laura Wells or Patreon. That's all it is. It's linked to my YouTube channel also.
All right. Have any interesting videos coming up?
I haven't done anything in a while. Been doing a little bit of family time and, family vacation. But I think now that I'm refreshed and I'm back, I guess I'm going to start getting back to it. So we'll get something figured out here.
Very good. There's a lot happening. So, Laura, I want to
Yeah.
thank you again so much for coming on. That was fantastic information, and I'll definitely have to have you back on.
Thank you.
All right. You have a good day.
You too. Goodbye.